Yuki Tsunoda was born into a family deeply rooted in the values of discipline, hard work, and humility, traits that are essential to Japanese culture. Growing up in Sagamihara, a city not far from Tokyo, Yuki's upbringing was relatively modest, yet rich in the kind of love and support that would one day help him navigate the cutthroat world of motorsport. His parents, particularly his father, played a crucial role in shaping not only his interest in racing but also his attitude toward life, competition, and perseverance. Yuki's father, an auto mechanic by trade, was his first and most important influence when it came to motorsport. From an early age, Yuki was exposed to the intricacies of car mechanics. His father, though never a professional racer, had an immense passion for the sport. He would often take Yuki to local karting tracks on weekends, where the two would spend hours not only driving but discussing every aspect of the cars, the engines, the tires, the handling. These early karting sessions became a bonding ritual between father and son, with Yuki's father encouraging him to be meticulous in his approach, teaching him the technical side of racing even before the competitive aspect took hold. It was in these moments that Yuki's lifelong love for speed, control, and the art of driving began to take root. But Yuki's father's influence was not limited to the technical aspects of motorsport. He also instilled in Yuki the cultural values that would ground him throughout his journey: respect for his elders, humility in victory, and resilience in defeat. In Japanese culture, perseverance is highly valued, and the idea of gamen, enduring hardships with patience and dignity, became a cornerstone of Yuki's mindset. His father emphasized that racing, like life, was not just about speed but about focus, dedication, and the constant pursuit of improvement. Mistakes were not failures but opportunities to learn, a principle that Yuki would carry into his later career. Yuki's mother, though less involved in the technical side of racing, provided a sense of emotional balance and stability. She was a constant source of support, always ensuring that Yuki remained grounded, no matter his successes or setbacks. Her nurturing influence helped Yuki maintain a calm demeanor, a trait that would become especially important in the high-pressure world of Formula One. Together, Yuki's parents created a home environment that balanced ambition with humility. They never pushed him too hard, allowing him to discover his passion for racing on his own terms. Yet, they were always there to guide him, instilling in him a sense of responsibility and a strong work ethic. His parents also ensured that Yuki maintained a strong connection to his roots, frequently reminding him of the importance of representing Japan with pride, especially in a sport where few Japanese drivers had made a lasting mark. As Yuki began to excel in karting and moved up through the ranks of junior categories, the lessons from his parents became even more vital. In a world dominated by fast cars and even faster careers, Yuki remained calm, respectful, and fiercely dedicated to his craft. His father's words about hard work and patience echoed in his mind, while his mother's quiet encouragement gave him the emotional strength to handle the pressures of racing. In essence, Yuki Tsunoda's upbringing was not just about nurturing a young racer, it was about building a strong foundation of character. His parents, with their contrasting but complementary roles, shaped Yuki into a driver who values the process as much as the results, and a person who never forgets where he comes from, no matter how high he rises. This grounding in family and culture would become a key part of his identity as he faced the challenges ahead, both on and off the track. Yuki Tsunoda was born on May 11, 2000, in Sagamihara, a bustling city nestled in the Kanagawa Prefecture of Japan. Sagamihara, known for its serene landscapes and close proximity to the motor hubs of Tokyo, would be the backdrop for the early days of a boy who would one day represent Japan on the global stage of Formula One. From the moment he could walk, Yuki seemed to gravitate toward movement, fascinated by the mechanics of everyday objects, especially cars. His earliest interactions with cars were not glamorous. There were no expensive machines or cutting-edge simulators in Yuki's world at the time. Instead, it was his father's modest workshop that captured his imagination. His father, a mechanic by profession, spent long hours fixing cars, and young Yuki would often be found beside him, watching in wide-eyed curiosity. He was too small to hold the heavy tools, but his father made sure to teach him everything he could. Yuki would hand over wrenches, watch the gears turn, and slowly begin to understand how the machines worked. His father was not a professional racer, but he knew cars inside and out, and it was clear that Yuki was absorbing every detail with a quiet, intense focus. But it was not just the mechanical side that fascinated him. It was the idea of speed. Even as a small child, Yuki loved the sensation of motion. Whether it was on his bicycle or in the family car, he would always beg to go faster. He would lean out of windows, eyes wide open to the rush of wind, captivated by the idea of moving at a pace faster than anyone else. This love for speed would soon find a new outlet. When Yuki was just 4 years old, his father took him to a local go-kart track for the first time. It was a moment that would change everything. The karts were small, rattling machines compared to the finely tuned vehicles he would one day race, but to Yuki, they felt like magic. His first time behind the wheel was shaky, a clumsy dance with the steering wheel as he tried to control the kart's wild energy. But even in those moments of uncertainty, there was something about it that made his heart race. The experience was exhilarating, and after that day, karting quickly became Yuki's favorite activity. His father encouraged it, not by pushing him to be competitive, but by letting him enjoy it as a game, a fun weekend activity. Together, they would spend countless weekends at the track, where Yuki's playful spirit would meet his growing interest in mastering the karts. There were no grand ambitions of racing stardom at that time, just a boy and his father, bonding over their shared love of cars and the joy of speed. At that age, Yuki was still unaware of the larger world of motorsport. The international racing scene was distant, almost abstract, and professional racing seemed like something that existed far beyond the borders of his small world. He was more concerned with learning how to take turns faster, how to handle the kart better, and most importantly, how to beat the other kids on the track. His competitive spirit was beginning to emerge, but it was more about fun than pressure. He would laugh off mistakes, get frustrated when he spun out, but always come back for more, determined to get better. Despite his early love for racing, Yuki's childhood was not consumed by it. He was a typical boy in many ways, going to school, hanging out with friends, and playing sports. In fact, he did not spend all of his time thinking about racing, which perhaps allowed his passion for it to grow naturally, without the weight of expectation. His parents, especially his mother, were careful not to make racing a chore. Yuki still had to focus on his studies and live a well-rounded life. His days were a balance of schoolwork, playing soccer with friends, and those cherished weekends at the karting track. As the years passed, Yuki's natural talent began to shine. Though he was small in stature, his skill behind the wheel was undeniable. He developed an instinct for racing that went beyond just technical precision. He had the ability to feel the track, to know when to push and when to pull back. It was a gift that even he did not fully understand at the time, but it was enough to set him apart from the other young drivers at the local karting tracks. By the time he reached his early teens, the casual weekends of karting for fun began to take a more serious turn. Yuki started entering local karting competitions, and without much fanfare, he began to win. The trophies started piling up, but still, it felt more like a hobby than a pathway to a career. He was still the same boy from Sagamihara, who loved the thrill of racing, but had no idea that he was beginning a journey toward something much bigger. In those early days, Yuki Tsunoda was just a boy with a dream he could not yet articulate, but one that was growing with every lap he completed on the karting track. His love for racing was simple, pure, and unburdened by expectations. Little did he know that the karting tracks of his childhood were the first steps toward a career that would take him across the world and into the ranks of Formula One, where the stakes were higher, and the dreams bigger than he could have ever imagined as that young boy karting for fun. As Yuki Tsunoda moved from childhood to adolescence, the karting tracks that once felt like a playground began to transform into something more significant. His natural talent, honed over years of casual karting sessions with his father, was now leading him toward Japan's competitive racing circuit. Around the age of 10, Yuki began to compete in national karting championships, stepping into a world where every race was a test of speed, skill, and mental fortitude. Unlike the carefree races of his early years, these competitions brought a new intensity, where mistakes were costly and victories hard-fought. Despite his small stature, Yuki quickly made his presence felt. His racing style was bold and aggressive, but also precise, displaying a maturity that belied his age. He had an uncanny ability to navigate tight corners and find opportunities where others hesitated. Over the next few years, Yuki's dominance in the Japanese karting scene became undeniable. He claimed several regional titles and began to rise through the ranks of national competitions. It was during this time that his raw talent started to catch the attention of the Japanese motorsport community. By the time Yuki was in his mid-teens, he had outgrown the karting circuit. His success in karting provided a springboard to the next level, single-seater racing. In 2016, Yuki made the leap into the Japanese Formula 4 series, marking a critical turning point in his career. Formula 4 was a new arena where he would be racing larger, more powerful cars on a much bigger stage. For many young drivers, the transition from karting to single-seaters can be overwhelming, but for Yuki, it seemed like a natural progression. His first season in Formula 4 was a learning experience, marked by ups and downs, but it was clear that his potential was immense. It was during his time in Japanese Formula 4 that Yuki first came onto Honda's radar. Honda had long been a powerhouse in Japanese motorsport, and they were actively scouting for young talent to groom for the future. Yuki's performances in Formula 4 were too good to ignore. His ability to deliver consistent lap times, combined with his aggressive overtaking maneuvers, showed that he was more than just a promising young driver. He had the potential to become something special. In 2017, Yuki was officially inducted into the Honda Formula Dream Project, a development program designed to nurture the next generation of Japanese racing talent. Under the guidance of Honda, Yuki's career began to accelerate. In his second season of Formula 4, he flourished, winning the Japanese Formula 4 Championship in 2018 with 7 race victories. His performances were not just about speed, they reflected a growing maturity in his racing approach. Yuki had learned how to manage races, balancing aggression with control, and it was clear that he had outgrown the national stage. The next step was inevitable: Europe. Moving to Europe was a daunting prospect for Yuki. The European racing scene is fiercely competitive, with young drivers from all over the world fighting for a limited number of spots in the upper echelons of motorsport. But Yuki was ready for the challenge. Backed by Honda, and with Red Bull beginning to take notice, he made the move to race in the FIA Formula 3 Championship in 2019, joining the prestigious Genzer Motorsport team. The European circuits were unfamiliar, the competition more intense than anything he had faced in Japan, but Yuki adapted quickly. His first year in Formula 3 was a roller coaster of emotions. Racing against the best young drivers in the world, Yuki faced setbacks and moments of frustration. But those struggles only sharpened his focus. He earned his first podium in Formula 3 at Monza, one of the sport's most iconic tracks, showing that he could not only compete but thrive on the global stage. His podium finish in Monza caught the attention of Red Bull's motorsport advisor, Helmut Marko, a man with a sharp eye for young talent. Soon, Yuki was officially brought into the Red Bull Junior team, a critical turning point that would link him to one of Formula One's most successful organizations. The following year, in 2020, Yuki made the jump to FIA Formula 2 with Carlin, a team known for developing young talent. It was here that Yuki truly began to shine. Formula 2 is a critical proving ground for drivers hoping to reach Formula 1, and the competition was fiercer than ever. But Yuki, with his fearless driving style and rapidly improving racecraft, rose to the occasion. He claimed his first Formula 2 victory at the iconic Silverstone circuit, a win that marked his arrival as a serious contender. That victory was followed by more strong performances, including wins in Spa and Bahrain, 2 of the most challenging circuits on the calendar. Yuki's performances in Formula 2 were electrifying. His driving style was a blend of aggression and finesse, and he had a knack for delivering in high-pressure situations. His ability to overtake with precision, coupled with his speed in qualifying, made him a formidable force. Yuki finished third in the 2020 Formula 2 Championship, but more importantly, he had proven to Red Bull that he was ready for Formula 1. The breakthrough moment came when Red Bull, in partnership with Honda, announced that Yuki Tsunoda would be joining Scuderia AlphaTauri for the 2021 Formula One season. The news sent waves of excitement through the Japanese motorsport community. Yuki would become the first Japanese driver in Formula One since Kamui Kobayashi, and there were high hopes that he could carry the legacy of Japanese drivers to new heights. His rise through the ranks, from karting in Japan to the pinnacle of motorsport, had been nothing short of meteoric. The journey from Japan to Europe had been grueling, filled with challenges both on and off the track. But Yuki's resilience, combined with his natural talent, had carried him through. Along the way, he had not only caught the attention of Honda and Red Bull, but had also earned the respect of the motorsport world as one of the most promising young drivers of his generation. Each victory, each podium, and each moment of struggle had shaped him into the driver he was becoming, a driver with the potential to leave a lasting impact on Formula One. Yuki Tsunoda's debut in Formula One with Scuderia AlphaTauri in 2021 was one of the most anticipated arrivals in recent years. At just 20 years old, he was stepping into the most competitive motorsport in the world, carrying the hopes of his country and the weight of expectations from both Honda and Red Bull. It was a dream come true, but also the beginning of a journey filled with immense pressure, setbacks, and moments of doubt that would test his mental strength. His Formula One debut came with a burst of excitement. Yuki had shown extraordinary promise in Formula 2, and his move to AlphaTauri, Red Bull's sister team, was seen as a stepping stone to an eventual seat in Red Bull Racing if he could prove his worth. Early signs were promising. During preseason testing, he impressed with his pace and control, surprising even seasoned experts. When the first race of the 2021 season came around in Bahrain, Yuki delivered a standout performance. He qualified 13th, but quickly showed his racecraft, making bold overtakes and finishing in 9th place. For a debut race, it was a remarkable achievement, and it felt like Yuki was destined for greatness. However, the initial success masked the enormous challenges that lay ahead. Formula One is a different beast compared to the junior categories, not only in terms of car performance but in the mental strain it places on drivers. After his strong debut, Yuki struggled to maintain consistency. The intensity of Formula One was far beyond what he had ever experienced. Each race weekend involved an intricate balance of working with the engineering team, dealing with the media, and managing the psychological pressure of performing at the highest level. Mistakes began to creep in, and Yuki found himself caught between moments of brilliance and costly errors. In his second race, at the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, Yuki crashed in qualifying, which forced him to start at the back of the grid. His frustration was evident, but he still managed to fight through the field before making another error and spinning out during the race. These mistakes became a recurring theme. He would deliver flashes of potential, making bold overtakes and showing great pace in certain sections, only to throw away the results with moments of inexperience. The pressure on Yuki began to build, particularly from Red Bull. The Red Bull racing program is known for being notoriously unforgiving, where young drivers are expected to deliver results quickly or risk being replaced. Helmut Marko, Red Bull's motorsport advisor, was closely monitoring Yuki's progress, and though Red Bull had high hopes for him, there was no room for prolonged underperformance. Yuki knew this, and the knowledge that he was being constantly evaluated weighed heavily on him. The mental toll of being in Formula One, where every mistake is magnified on a global stage, began to take its toll. Off the track, Yuki struggled with the new environment. He had moved from Japan to Italy and later to the United Kingdom to be closer to the team, and the cultural adjustments, coupled with the constant travel demands of a global racing series, left him feeling isolated. In interviews, he admitted that he found it hard to stay mentally focused and often felt frustrated with himself. Self-doubt started to creep in. He was his own harshest critic, and the pressure he put on himself became overwhelming at times. It was clear that Yuki was battling more than just the competition on the track. He was grappling with the immense psychological pressure of being a Formula One driver. Yuki's struggles came to a head mid-season when a series of incidents, including more crashes in qualifying and a string of poor race finishes, left him questioning his own abilities. He openly admitted to feeling lost at times during the season, struggling to find the confidence that had once come so naturally to him. The media began to speculate whether he was ready for Formula One, and rumors swirled about his future with the team. Yet, in the face of adversity, Yuki showed resilience. Rather than giving in to the pressure, he sought help. AlphaTauri's team principal, Franz Tost, took Yuki under his wing, offering guidance and helping him find balance in his racing. Yuki moved to Italy to be closer to the team, spending more time at the factory and working closely with his engineers to better understand the car and improve his performance. Tost emphasized patience, reminding Yuki that his rookie season was about learning, not perfection. The team rallied around him, offering the support he needed to navigate the rough patches. Gradually, Yuki began to turn things around. He worked with a mental coach to manage the psychological aspects of racing and started to regain his focus. In the second half of the season, there were glimpses of the old Yuki, the fearless, fast, and aggressive driver that had wowed fans in Formula 2. Though mistakes still happened, his performances became more consistent, and he began to understand the car better, translating his feedback into more competitive race setups. The pinnacle of his rookie season came at the final race of the year in Abu Dhabi. In a season filled with ups and downs, Yuki delivered a stunning performance, finishing fourth, his best result of the season, just behind the podium finishers. It was a symbolic moment, a reminder of the talent that had brought him to Formula One in the first place. The race served as a boost to his confidence and gave both Red Bull and AlphaTauri faith that Yuki was on the right path. Despite the struggles and setbacks, Yuki's rookie season in Formula One was a profound learning experience. He entered the sport with sky-high expectations, but quickly learned that talent alone was not enough. Formula One demanded mental fortitude, discipline, and the ability to bounce back from failure. Yuki had faced intense scrutiny, doubted himself, and made mistakes, but through it all, he had grown stronger. By the end of 2021, Yuki had emerged from the storm more self-aware and more resilient. He understood the importance of patience and mental clarity in the pressure cooker environment of Formula One. His journey was far from over, but the lessons from his first season had prepared him for the road ahead. Yuki was no longer just a young rookie with raw talent, he was a fighter, determined to prove that he belonged at the highest level of motorsport. Yuki Tsunoda's career in Formula One had been marked by flashes of brilliance, but it was during the 2022 season that he delivered a performance that silenced doubters and showcased his true potential. The race that came to define his journey up to that point was the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in Baku, a circuit notorious for its tight corners, high speeds, and unforgiving walls. It was here, on a track that rewards boldness and punishes mistakes, that Yuki would seize his breakthrough moment. The 2022 season had been one of steady improvement for Yuki. After a tumultuous rookie year where inconsistency overshadowed his raw talent, the pressure was on for him to prove that he belonged in Formula One. AlphaTauri had high hopes, and Yuki knew that another season filled with errors could jeopardize his future within the Red Bull racing ecosystem. But instead of cracking under the pressure, Yuki approached the season with a new mindset. He had learned from the struggles of 2021, focusing on consistency, mental clarity, and refining his racecraft. And by the time the paddock arrived in Baku, he was ready to show the world what he could do. From the moment Yuki set foot on the streets of Baku, he looked sharp. The high-speed straights and technical turns of the city circuit played to his strengths, and he seemed comfortable in the car from the first practice session. His feedback to the team was precise, and his engineers worked tirelessly to fine-tune the car to suit the demands of the track. As qualifying approached, there was a sense that Yuki was on the verge of something special. In Saturday's qualifying session, Yuki delivered a performance that stunned both his team and the paddock. On a circuit known for its razor-thin margins, Yuki found pace in his AlphaTauri that few expected. He danced his car through the narrow streets of Baku with a blend of aggression and precision that left no room for error. His bold approach in the final corners, where many drivers hesitated, earned him a strong qualifying position, putting him ahead of more experienced drivers and faster cars. It was a reminder that Yuki had not just raw speed but the ability to deliver when it mattered most. When race day arrived, the pressure was palpable. Baku is known for its chaotic races, where safety cars, crashes, and unexpected twists are commonplace. Yuki, starting in the top 10, knew that this was his chance to make a statement. As the lights went out, he launched off the line with confidence, holding his position into the treacherous first corner. What followed was a masterclass in composure and race management. Throughout the race, Yuki kept a cool head. He avoided the chaos that unfolded around him, steering clear of the crashes and incidents that eliminated several drivers. His overtakes were clean and calculated, and his tire management, a critical aspect of racing in Baku, was impeccable. Even when the race was interrupted by a safety car, which bunched up the field and threatened to undo his progress, Yuki remained calm and focused. But it was in the latter stages of the race where Yuki truly shone. As the race reached its climax, he found himself in a fierce battle for a top 5 finish, defending his position against seasoned veterans. The pressure was immense, but Yuki thrived in it. Lap after lap, he fended off attacks, showing maturity beyond his years. His driving was aggressive but controlled, a sign that he had learned from the mistakes of his rookie season. As Yuki crossed the finish line in 7th place, there was a sense of triumph, not just for the result itself, but for the way he had handled the entire race. It was his best finish of the season at that point, and it felt like a turning point. The doubters who had questioned whether Yuki had the mental toughness to compete at this level were forced to reconsider. His performance in Baku was not just fast, it was mature, calculated, and showed that Yuki could deliver under pressure. The reaction from the paddock was immediate. AlphaTauri team principal Franz Tost praised Yuki's composure, noting how far he had come since his debut. Even Helmut Marko, who had been critical of Yuki's inconsistency in the past, acknowledged that this was the kind of performance they had been waiting for. Yuki had not only delivered a strong result, but he had also done so in one of the most difficult and unpredictable races on the calendar. It was a performance that cemented his place in the team and in Formula One. The race in Baku marked a turning point for Yuki Tsunoda. It was the first time he had truly silenced the critics, showing that he was not just a fast driver but one who could handle the pressures of Formula One at its most intense. The thrill of that result, crossing the line with a sense of accomplishment, knowing that he had proven himself, was a moment of relief and joy. For Yuki, it felt like a validation of the hard work he had put in during the off-season and the mental fortitude he had developed after his struggles in 2021. This breakthrough in Baku set the tone for the remainder of Yuki's 2022 season. He continued to grow in confidence, delivering more consistent performances and further cementing his reputation as a driver with immense potential. The 7th-place finish was not a podium, but it was a symbolic victory, a race that showed the world that Yuki Tsunoda was a force to be reckoned with in Formula One. Looking back, Baku was the race that defined Yuki's journey. It was where he found his footing in the sport, where he realized that he could stand toe-to-toe with the best in the world. The thrill of that performance, the relief of silencing his doubters, and the satisfaction of knowing that he had truly arrived in Formula One would stay with him as he continued to chase his dream of becoming one of the sport's elite drivers. As Yuki Tsunoda continues his journey in Formula One, the trajectory of his career remains one of the most intriguing storylines in the sport. With each passing season, he develops not just as a driver but as a symbol of hope for Japanese motorsport. His future, filled with both opportunity and uncertainty, hinges on his ability to balance the immense expectations placed on him with the steady growth he has shown since his debut. By 2023, Yuki had solidified his place as a key figure within Scuderia AlphaTauri, but questions remained about his long-term future. The Red Bull racing ecosystem, known for its high standards and quick turnover of young talent, loomed large over his development. The senior Red Bull team, with its elite status and legendary drivers like Max Verstappen, represents the ultimate goal for any driver in the Red Bull Junior program. Yuki is no exception. His dream is to one day race for the senior Red Bull team, competing for world championships at the pinnacle of motorsport. However, the path to Red Bull racing is fraught with challenges. Red Bull's top team is fiercely competitive, and with drivers like Verstappen firmly entrenched, Yuki faces an uphill battle to secure a seat. To earn that coveted spot, Yuki would need to demonstrate not just consistency but also moments of brilliance that can outshine his rivals within the Red Bull system, such as other young talents waiting in the wings. His performances with AlphaTauri will be under constant scrutiny, and the pressure to deliver results remains unrelenting. Despite these challenges, Yuki's career could take several potential paths. One possibility is that he continues to develop into a consistently strong driver for AlphaTauri, becoming the leader of the team. As AlphaTauri often serves as a proving ground for Red Bull's future stars, excelling in this role would position Yuki as a reliable and experienced driver, one who could step up to Red Bull when the opportunity arises. His raw speed and aggressive driving style make him an attractive candidate for promotion, but he would need to continue improving his racecraft, strategy, and consistency to prove he is ready for the next level. Another possible path for Yuki lies outside of the Red Bull ecosystem. If he cannot secure a seat with the senior team, he may look elsewhere in Formula One for opportunities. His reputation as a fast and fearless driver could attract the attention of other teams, particularly those looking to build for the future. Whether it is a midfield team aiming to climb the ranks or a more established team in need of fresh talent, Yuki's experience and potential make him a valuable asset on the grid. This path could see him become a respected veteran in the sport, driving for multiple teams over the course of his career. Beyond the results on track, Yuki's impact on Japanese motorsport is already being felt, and his legacy will continue to grow regardless of where his career leads. As the first Japanese driver in Formula One since Kamui Kobayashi, Yuki carries the hopes of an entire nation. Japan has a rich motorsport history, but it has often lacked a consistent presence in Formula One. Yuki's rise through the ranks, from karting in Sagamihara to racing on the world stage, serves as an inspiration to young racers across Japan. His success demonstrates that it is possible for Japanese drivers to compete at the highest level of motorsport, despite the challenges of breaking into a sport traditionally dominated by European drivers. Yuki's connection with Honda, the legendary Japanese automotive giant, further cements his place in the country's motorsport history. With Honda supplying engines to both AlphaTauri and Red Bull, Yuki represents a bridge between the past and future of Japanese involvement in Formula One. Even after Honda's formal exit from the sport, its legacy lives on through drivers like Yuki, who continue to embody the company's spirit of excellence and innovation. Off the track, Yuki's humility, work ethic, and candid nature have endeared him to fans both in Japan and around the world. His willingness to share his struggles and growth resonates with many, making him more relatable than many of his peers. He is not just a driver defined by speed, but by perseverance, a quality that aligns closely with the values of gamen, endurance, and kaizen, continuous improvement, in Japanese culture. As his career progresses, Yuki is poised to become a role model for aspiring Japanese racers, providing a blueprint for how to succeed on the global stage. Yuki's influence could extend beyond Formula One as well. His presence has already sparked renewed interest in motorsport across Japan, potentially inspiring a new generation of karting enthusiasts and racers. As motorsport programs and academies continue to grow in Japan, Yuki's journey could lead to the discovery of more Japanese talent who, like him, aim to follow in the footsteps of legendary drivers. In the long term, Yuki's legacy may well transcend his on-track achievements. He is part of a new wave of drivers redefining what it means to succeed in Formula One, balancing immense pressure, navigating cultural barriers, and embracing the challenges of a sport that demands the very best, both mentally and physically. Whether Yuki becomes a world champion, rises to the senior Red Bull team, or finds success elsewhere, his journey will continue to leave an indelible mark on Japanese motorsport. Ultimately, Yuki Tsunoda's career is still unfolding, and while the final chapters are yet to be written, one thing is clear. He has already secured his place as one of Japan's most influential motorsport figures. His determination, resilience, and passion for racing will continue to inspire future generations, ensuring that his legacy will endure long after his Formula One career comes to an end. Whether as a driver competing for victories or as a symbol of Japan's racing spirit, Yuki's impact on the sport is only just beginning.